Guys, welcome to Perspective Talks with Irene. I'm back again with an interesting topic with one of my great friends. Actually, today's topic is so amazing that it's gonna be my next hobby. So I'm really excited to introduce my new friend and I'll let him introduce himself. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Hello, viewers. My name is Ryan Forel. I'm from the state of Georgia in the United States of America, and I'm here to talk about something I'm very passionate about, and that is hiking. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to the conversation.
I'm also excited to learn a lot about hiking. And to begin with, what is hiking?
So, hiking is like walking, but in nature. You're going to be like right now. We're in this beautiful little path in the middle of the city.
Yeah.
If we're hiking, we're going to be out in the mountains, we're going to be out in the woods. It takes more preparation and it's a little more dangerous. But the plus side is you get to spend more time in nature. It can be as long or as short as you want, as difficult or as easy as you want. Really, there's a principle called hike your own hike, which means a hike is whatever you want to be your hike.
Okay.
So it's very flexible.
Thank you very much. According to your introduction about hiking, does someone need to have maps, compasses before they go hiking?
It's always a good idea to at least look at a map of where you're hiking before you go. Some trails are very well paved, or not paved, but marked, so you don't get lost. So you don't always need a compass or a map. It depends on how wild you're going to be hiking. But generally, it's always a good idea to be prepared. Look at a map at the very least. If not, take a map with you whenever you're going to be out in nature, out in the wild, because anything could happen, and it's good to know how to get back to where you started.
What if I don't know how to read a map or I don't know how to use a compass?
That's a great question. Well, one, if you don't know how to use a map or read a compass, make sure you're not going on a hike that's going to require you to use those materials. But even if you want to do a more wild hike, there's plenty of apps and pieces of technology that do all the work for you. Like Garmin, for example, is a GPS company, and they make watches, they make apps, they make satellite phones, everything you need to keep yourself oriented in the wilderness. Um, Otherwise, go the old-fashioned route. Learn how to read a map. It's not that difficult, especially if you learn two basic things: how to find north and how to find your landmarks. Good maps will have landmarks placed for you that you'll be able to recognize when you see them. And from there, you'll be able to orient yourself. That way's north, that way's east, that way's west. And from there, you just have to know which direction you want to go.
Okay, sounds interesting. That's why I wanna try it. And how safe is hiking? How safe is hiking?
So if you're prepared, it's safe. The most important aspect for going on a hike is being prepared. You can hike in many different terrains, but some things you can't control. The weather, any kind of injuries. If you carry the supplies you need and you have the knowledge you need to get out of difficult situations or unexpected weather events, you're going to be pretty safe. Obviously, since you're out in nature, nothing is guaranteed. But yeah, you make it as safe as you want to be by preparing. So I always advocate for preparation.
Okay, in preparations, you talked about supplies. What should one carry while preparing for a hike?
First and foremost, in addition to your clothes, which we can get to later, especially shoes, you need to make sure you're carrying water. Dehydration will sneak up on you, especially when you're at altitude like we are here in Ecuador. It'll dry you out faster, especially when there's wind. That'll dry you out, and the sun will dry you out. You might walk for a couple hours in the city and not need to drink water, but when you're climbing mountains, exposed to the elements, you're definitely going to be sweating a lot and just losing a lot of moisture. So water, number one. Number two, some sort of snack, something to eat in case your blood sugar gets low. We've all been hiking, and we get to the middle of the hike, we're exhausted, we're cramping up, we're in a bad mood, we don't want to go any further, we just want to curl up and take a nap in the middle of the wilderness. That means you need to eat something. So granola or maybe some beef jerky, something with staying power, something that's going to keep you satisfied for at least a couple hours, so you can at the very least get back to where you started, if not continue on. And finally, rain gear. Weather can change at any time. Even in semi-warm temperatures, if you get wet, you can get hypothermia or get very sick. So always carry a lightweight raincoat or an umbrella, something like that, just so if it starts raining, you can keep your core dry.
Okay, Thank you very much. You mentioned about the shoes, the clothes, and everything. Are there particular types of shoes, types of clothes that someone is supposed to travel with?
Yes. So first off, I'll just preface this with saying whatever you're comfortable in is what works best for you. But what I found works best for most people is lightweight and breathable clothing, especially tops, like this jersey. And then when it gets cold, add more lightweight layers on top of that. Don't just wear one big heavy jacket if you're going to be hiking, because suddenly you're going to be working up a sweat in that big jacket. You're going to be sweating under here. You're going to get hot. You're going to take off the jacket, and you're going to get so cold because your undershirt is wet. So the ideal thing to do is wear lots of lightweight layers. Just pull them off, take them off as you need to. It gives you much finer control of how hot you are. In terms of pants, I really like athletic pants that whisk moisture away. You don't want too much moisture to stay on your skin. It can cause chafing or skin infections. So some like fishing pants, gym shorts, or any kind of athletic shorts or pants that whisk moisture away from your skin is going to be what you're going to want to do. And finally, footwear. It depends on what your needs are as a person. So I have very flat feet, but I have fine ankles. So I like to wear trail runners or tennis shoes that have good thick soles to hike in. Those give me a lot more flexibility, and they let my feet breathe so you don't get athlete's foot or other fungal infections. Other people like to wear boots with lots of ankle support that are completely waterproof. Now when you're in conditions that are a lot more wet, rainy, and cold, that's what you want to do. With tennis shoes or trail runners, if they get wet, they dry out quickly, but if it's cold, that's not going to help you too much because your feet are going to be really cold. You might get frostbite or something uncomfortable.
Okay. Regarding the wares and everything, how important is research about the place you're gonna hike in important? Because you may not know if it's wet, if it's dry. How is the research important?
It's extremely important. As I said earlier, preparation is key. You decide how fun and how safe your hike is by being prepared. So part of that, in addition to looking at your map, is looking at the weather patterns in a local area, maybe looking at reviews by other people who have done that trail online, on forums, for example, or in books. What was it like when they hiked it? How can I be prepared to avoid, whatever obstacles there were? Weather especially. Is it going to be hot or cold, and is it going to be rainy? Rain is a big issue when you're hiking because you don't have any way to escape it, so you have to be prepared.
Okay. Should I be worried about wildlife? Because in some places you may research and it shows nothing about wildlife. But what happens if you're in the middle of your hike and you suddenly start seeing some wildlife, some animals?
Yes, that's a great question because that really does depend on where you're going. So that's why research is important. If you can find information, you know what wildlife is there. I've hiked extensively in the eastern mountains of the United States, so I'll just talk a little bit about that. The biggest concerns for wildlife there are ticks and bears, black bears. So ticks are tiny little insects that'll burrow into your skin and they can give you terrible diseases. You do always need to be worried about them. Every time you hike in a place where ticks are present, you need to check yourself everywhere. They can crawl around, they can hide in your body hair. You need to be very worried about those, and you need to, as long as you check every day, you're going to be fine, but it's not something you can let slide. As for larger wildlife, especially bears, coyotes, those you need to be worried about, but in a respectful way. You don't need to be unduly worried because a lot of times they're more afraid of us than we are of them. Some countermeasures you can take, for example, is if you see a bear, they don't like to be startled when you're right by them. Then they might take a swipe at you. So you want to make lots of noise as you hike so the bears know you're coming and have plenty of time to get away, especially if it's a mother bear with her cubs. She wants to get her cubs away, but if she sees you and she doesn't have time, she's going to attack you. And you don't want to fight a bear.
Oh, how would you dare?
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
You don't want to do that. Thank you very much.
Oh, and one other thing with bears, make sure the smell of food is kept contained so that bears don't smell food on you because they'll come track you down.
Like food?
They love your food. They love human food. So keep, or perfume or anything that smells sweet, make sure that it's zipped up tight so that the bears can't smell it. They won't track you down.
Okay. Thank you very much. I heard of trail etiquette. What is it and how important is it?
Trail etiquette is very important because trails are not personal endeavors. The public uses them. A lot of people are going to be enjoying the trails, and a lot of people are going to be working hard to keep those trails in good condition so that everyone can experience nature. So the main principle of trail etiquette is called leave no trace, LNT, leave no trace. You might have heard the expression, take nothing but pictures, leave nothing but footprints. Try to leave the trail in the state you found it in. Don't pick flowers or plants, they might be endangered. Don't feed animals, they might get accustomed to people and come up to them. Don't dig holes in the trail or mistreat the trail. Stay on the trail, don't walk to the edge of the trail and expand the trail into new wilderness. All these things can be damaging both for nature and for the trail and for the safety of people using the trail. So leave no trace.
So basically, you just have to respect the whole thing for for your safety and for the safety of others.
Yes.
Basically. Okay, that's really very important. Okay, as someone who would really love to try hiking, give me some reasons why I should try hiking.
Yes. Oh, there's so many. First off, I already know you like to walk.
Yeah.
So if you like to walk, you're probably gonna like to hike. You get
Okay.
to experience whole new landscapes, nature. It's just whole new experiences waiting for you. Additionally, it develops some personal skills. One, physical fitness. Hiking often takes you up and down steep slopes, over obstacles, over rough terrain. So it really develops your body physically to handle the stress. You know, you'll develop stronger leg muscles, stronger back muscles if you're carrying a heavy backpack. It also helps develop your mental fortitude as well as your body. Because when you're out in the woods and it starts to rain, or you twist your ankle, or something happens, you can't just go home. You can't just get an Uber, go home, and give up. You have to finish the hike. So even if things get difficult, you have to finish it, and that's a great skill to develop, perseverance. And finally, nature is wonderful. I think we don't respect nature enough these days. I think being able to see it, experience it, and live sort of, not in harmony, but in partnership with it, understanding that it's there and we're as much part of it as it is with us, I think hiking gives you a better appreciation for that. It might change your perspective.
Okay, I'm really ready to try it. And the next video we shall be hiking. Well, you talked about many things that one needs to take. For safety and security purposes, what should one carry?
Yes. So a basic first aid kit is always a good idea to have, like a bandage if you twist your ankle, or some Neosporin or an antibiotic ointment if you get a cut on something. If you're going to be doing long distance hiking, more than a couple hours, it might be a good idea to take water purification methods, be them iodine tablets or like a filter, some way to make sure that if you run out of water, you can get more water, because water is very important. On that topic, bring more water than you think you're going to need, because you can never have too much water. You're going to get thirsty. And finally, a cell phone. A cell phone is very important to bring, because in this day and age, you can get service in a lot of places. If something happens to you, having a phone to call for help or shine a light into the air can be really useful for your rescue. And finally, in terms of safety, it's not something you bring, but something you leave. Especially if you're going on a longer hike, make sure someone at home knows where you're going, how long it's going to take, when they should expect you to be back, and who they need to contact if they don't hear from you.
Thank you very much. Still about safety. What if I get ill or injured and I can't continue? What should I do?
Yeah, so this is where preparation is very important. A lot of things that you'll come down with when you're hiking, especially if it's for no more than a couple days at a time, a med kit a first aid kit can get you through them. Because you can't stop, obviously, unless you have some way to contact rescue. If you've broken your leg and absolutely can't walk, you have to contact rescue. There's always an inherent risk in going out into the wild that you have to take care of. But if you get sick, if you get injured, you need to have the mental fortitude to push through, and you need to be prepared enough to handle the most likely injuries and the most likely illnesses.
Okay, I think that means because most of the hiking places are in, let me say, in a nowhere zone. They're like so distant, they're far away from the usual places that we do. It means before you begin, you gotta be prepared no retreat, no surrender. You just have to keep going. Oh my God, I will have to try it.
Oh, definitely.
Good enough the first time I'm going to be with you, so it will be very, very amazing.
Right, hiking with a partner is always better, especially if just they might know how to set a broken leg or wrap up an ankle, something like that. Or they might just know the trail already and can guide you to the best viewpoints, which is also important.
Okay, thank you so very much. I promise I'm going to go hiking.
Let's do it.
I'm a little nervous, but I will go hiking.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I like to experience new things. Yeah, I like being challenged and I want to learn new things. So, as we conclude, what are the do's and don'ts of hiking?
Yes, do be prepared, do your research, take what you need with you. That's just the most important thing. Your safety is your number one concern, obviously, so the better prepared you are, the more likely you're going to be safe and have a great time. Don't disrespect the trail. As we said, leave no trace. Don't litter, don't chop down trees unless you have a real need to do so. Don't go off the trail and cause erosion or damage to the nature around it. That's a big don't. And just be respectful to other people trying to enjoy nature. So don't get drunk out on a trail, both for your safety and so you're not bothering other people. You'd be surprised how many times I thought I was in the middle of the woods by myself, just enjoying myself, listening to the birds, and I turn a corner and there's some teenagers drinking beer and playing music. Don't do that. Don't be that guy.
Thank you so much. Well, guys, you heard it. If you want to try hiking, please, you can pick a leaf from his message. And have you ever hiked? What was your experience? You want to share with us? Please put it down in the comment section. And the next time we're gonna see with my friend, we are going hiking. So please be safe and take care of yourself in case you wanna try hiking. Thank you so much, guys. See you in the next video.
Thank you. Happy trails.